these two guys' asses. He postdated this 11/13/27 when in reality he was the first officer that I spoke to. But yet here it says Cruset is the first officer. Now you may think I'm a little crazy for exposing these lies online, but they deterred every place I went for help. I went to the prosecuting attorney's office. They never responded back. I went to the police department 7-8 times. They never responded back. I went to the attorney general's. They said they don't deal with situations like this. I went to the FBI. They said they don't deal with cyber crimes like this. Change my phone, smoke marijuana, and everything will all be over. I also went to the sheriff's department inside the courthouse. And they said they only deal with courthouse appointed matters. So back to these reports. I never knew their age. I never knew the boy's age. It says 13-year-old was spying on him. I never knew their ages. I knew they were between 8 and 15 years old. I never met Cruset on 6/9/2017. I never even knew who he was. This right here, Cruset again. I never knew Cruset. Why he wrote this report, I do not know. There's some evidence on there that I said that he wrote down. But the proof of their names and their addresses aren't on there. Therefore, it stayed miscellaneous file, M17047016. They're all miscellaneous files because there's no evidence. They failed to write down the evidence, which are their names and their addresses. And I have this here. I did not want to pursue this anymore because the threats continued and they got worse. So I thought if I went to the police station and said I want to stop everything, the threats would calm down. But they didn't. They continued, as well as the perversion and the hacking of phones with a device they called Phone Zapper. Here's this one again. This guy actually put an address down. I knew their addresses. I had 3 months to know their addresses and their names because they lived right next door. Here it is again. We got lies on here. This day on 11/1/2017, I took Cruset directly to their homes. I was at the Shell gas station, and I said, meet me at the Shell gas station. And I drove Cruset directly between the homes of Michael and Brian. I was standing there with him outside my truck, and he was outside of his vehicle, staring directly between the homes of the guys that were peeping and perving on children with children. There's no names on this report. I told Lieutenant Valera the first day I spoke to him, I told him their names. I told him at least one of their names that said he was a police officer. On one of these reports, it says I own a white Ford Explorer. I've never owned a white Ford Explorer in my entire life. They never investigated this matter because, again, it stayed in the miscellaneous file. These are when they were stalking me. One of the guys that called himself a police officer continued to stalk me. He was trying to find me in the right place at the right time by myself. He never had a chance to do that because I wasn't going to leave myself vulnerable unless I knew it was just him there. But there were more people involved because I had busted out this Peep and Pervin program. When I lived at this address in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, before I made my first police report, I went to a gas station and I said, I want to use your phone. And they said, Michael, is that your truck up there next to that road? I said, yes. They said, Michael, get out of there. That's dangerous up there. It's bigger than you think, Michael. Get out of there. One of their daughters had a situation up there on Marlin Road. Just like my landlord's daughter at 14, she had a situation where she couldn't sleep in her own bed at night because a guy named Michael that lived right next door was peeping in her window trying to get a rise before the little girl woke up for school. They deterred all my help through all these places. When I'd look them up online, Brian would ask, does anybody know who works at the prosecuting attorney's office? Does anybody know who works at the Attorney General's office? They were deterring my help before I even got there. I had to look them up on my phone to know where they're located. I was going to call CPS and an FBI, a private investigator on this matter, but they knew what I was doing. Back to my first police report. Valera, that's written right here, should be on my first police report, but he is not on my first police report. Cruset says I met with Cruset approximately 4 times. I've only met up with Cruset about 2 times. When I told Valera, this guy here, that I was peeping and perving and threatening. Threatening wasn't on any of my reports. Valera asked me, which one did I want them to investigate? The peep and pervin part or the threatening part? And I said, well, if you investigate the peep and pervin part, you'll have to use specialized equipment to get up there without him finding out, because that's the equipment Brian was using. And then you'd hear the threatening part. If I told him to investigate the threatening part, then on his way up there, he'd be noticed by the devices this Brian guy had. So I told him, if you investigate the peep and pervin part, you'd have to have your specialized equipment to find the proof. Never happened. They deprived me of sleep from February to October of 2017. When I moved from the address I was at to a address down the road, the peep and pervin stopped with the children, but it turned into a different investigation.